So if those in the back would like to move a little bit forward, I don't think you're gonna wanna miss this. And on the agenda item, it was 3:45, I believe we called it the games. It's called the games. And for those of you who were Capital District aficionados, for those of you who weren't, in 1975, there were two incredible games between Thomas Jefferson and Maggie Walker. And those games had some incredible participants. They were akin to the largest events that you could imagine, not at that time, but even today. Even today, some people called it the Clyde versus Pete game. Some people called it obviously TJ versus Maggie Walker. But there were some incredible talents on the court, and we could not leave here without taking a moment to review those games, because on two nights in 1975, those two teams and those great players sold out the Richmond Coliseum twice within a 3-week period. That's over 10,000 people. So we've got to preserve that history, and there's no better way to preserve that history than to have two people who were on the court at that time tell us what it was all about and what was going on. So to my left here, I have Arnold Henderson, Thomas Jefferson, and to my right here, I've got J.D. Harrison, Maggie Walker. And I've said enough words. Okay, I've already said too many words. I want to have these guys start to talk now. So I got some questions I'm going to ask them, and then they're going to take it from here. So at the time of the first game, and that first game, I believe it was Tuesday, January 21st, 1975. At the time of that first game, Thomas Jefferson and Maggie Walker, I think they were both undefeated, and they were ranked number 1 and number 2 in the state of Virginia for boys basketball.
Who was who?
Was that?
Who was who?
I don't know. I don't know. But I'm sure the competitive spirit is going to come out and tell everybody who was who, all right? So let me start with this. I'll start with Arnold, just because. Tell me what you remember of the time leading to the first game. Keep in mind now, we had some standing room only games. I played at John Mars, graduated in 1979. I played in some standing room only games at high school gyms. I never played in a sold out Coliseum. The Virginia Squires, who were here from 1970 to 1976, never sold out the Coliseum. So that's some special. So Arnold, tell us what you remember about the game. Tell us who the starting players were and who the key reserves were.
Michael, the first thing I want to say is you were almost correct. When we went into that game, Maggie Walker was 5-0 in the Capital District, and TJ was 5-0 in the Capital District. Maggie Walker was also, I think they were 9-1 overall on that day, and TJ was 10-1 overall that day. Now, on Monday, the game was Tuesday. On Monday, January 20th, Richmond experienced a major snow. It snowed in Richmond. And on Tuesday, the 21st, there was no school. And fortunately for the city of Richmond, there was a rule in place that I think is still in place, that if you didn't go to school, you didn't have an athletic, you didn't have to school. So on Tuesday, the 21st of 1975, it snowed. The temperature, the high that day was 30 degrees. So fortunately, the game was in the Coliseum, and they went ahead and had the game. I will tell you that that game, the tickets were $2 a ticket. The tickets were sold in 3 locations. It was sold at TJ, it was being sold at Maggie Walker, and that they were sold at the Coliseum. The Coliseum stated after the game that there were 10,200 people that attended the game. The seating capacity at the Coliseum for a basketball game was 10,717. The Coliseum lost control of the game. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, so people opened up the side doors and the crowd started rushing in. There were people sitting in the aisles of the Coliseum. Had the fire marshal been on his or her job, that game would have been canceled because it was an unsafe environment in that there were so many people there. And all said and done, I think the total was about 11,600 or 700 people. They turned approximately 600 people away from entering the facility that night. At the end of the day, TJ on that first game made $18,000 after they paid the Coliseum, which was more money than TJ made in all of their home games put together that whole year, because TJ's gym only held 303 match box. That was one of the interesting things. Dave Robbins, that game featured 2 Hall of Fame coaches, Piers Callahan from Walker, Dave Robbins from TJ. It featured 2 Hall of Fame referees, Angel Horse Lawrence and Archie Harris, and it featured, the players, the Glide Austin and Rudy Reject Cunningham, Silky Smooth, Keith Valentine, and Otis Big Old Fulton, and then you had special players like the shooter J.D. Harrison. You had Victor Chop Harris, the 6'1" jumping beam, who had actually 14 rebounds. He was a high rebounder. But Dave
Henderson any good?
Actually, Arnold Henderson
Ran the show
and held the record for assists in the state of Virginia for a high school game until Eric Thompson broke it in 1983. So Arnold Henderson was in that game as well. I wasn't going to mention that, but my friend from UNI, I'm not going to get into that. Dave Robbins didn't want to play that game at the Coliseum because Maggie Walker was known for his flashy, up-tempo style of play, and TJ was known for its restrained tempo, defensive style of play. So Dave Robbins thought at the time when we played the Coliseum, Maggie Walker would have an advantage. Fortunately for TJ, Clyde and JD did not have the best shooting game. But what I will tell you is the scores for those quarters. At the end of the first quarter, the score was TJ 15-13. The score after the second quarter was TJ 31, Maggie Walker 26. The score after the third quarter was TJ 45, Maggie Walker 41. And then TJ maintained the lead until this guy James Harrison tied the score at 52-52 with 3 minutes and 6 seconds to play with a long-range jump shot over TJ's 2-3 zone. Scores tied 52-52, and then Keith Valentine took over. Now, Keith Valentine took over with a reverse
360.
back to the basket layup over 6'5" Rudy Jet Cunningham that even had the Maggie Walker flag rolling.
That's
Disbelief.
That's
Scores down 54-52 with about 2 minutes to play. TJ's up, and this guy, J.D. Harrison, again tied it at 54 with another long jump shot. And then Walker started fouling, but they started fouling Keith. And Keith made 6 straight 1-and-1 free throws to end the game. The final score was 60-54 in favor of TJ. What I want to say is, TJ in 1975 and Maggie had very heralded players who the public had not had a chance to see play because both Maggie Walker and TJ played versus my gyms. Had that game been played this year, it would have been on ESPN. But both Maggie Walker was playing in Barco and TJ was playing in the Matchbox. Had very small gyms, so people could not come in the gym to see us play. So that one game, which eventually was known, is still known as the highest attended high school, that first game in January, highest attended high school basketball game in the history of the state of Virginia. They talk about filling up Stevenson for the state championships. They talk about filling up University Hall at the time for the state championships. But that one game was the highest attended game of any basketball event at the Richmond Coliseum in the state of Virginia. It outdid the ABA's All-Star game the year before, which was at the Norfolk Scope, that featured Charlie Scott, Dr. J, Jordan Gervin. This high school game had more people in it than that game. So the game is what I call it at the Coliseum, gave everyone a chance to see for themselves who Keith Valentine was, who Clyde Austin was, who Rudy Cunningham was, who Otis Fortune was. It's likely the most memorable high school game in Richmond Capital District history, and it put the Capital District on the map as the premier basketball district in the state of Michigan.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna say, can y'all show him a little love? I asked him to do this a couple of days ago, and I didn't expect him to lay it down like that, but that's fantastic that you now know what that first game was all about. Now, I'm gonna have JD give his perspective on that first game. JD, tell me from your perspective how that game went down, and tell me who the starters were and who the key subs were for Maggie Walker on that night.
All right, first of all, I want y'all to know this. Don't believe all the hate you just heard. Some of the things he did have correct. But the part of it about me having a bad game that day was totally right. It was one of my best games in my life. But also, about the Coliseum. And I got it right here. And little do it, he or anybody else, me, Keith, Clyde, and some other members of TJ, we had a group together trying to figure out how to commemorate that game. And we found out that the capacity of the Coliseum was actually 13,500. You know, but the group came, it got shut down with Clyde Bass. So I just want to correct that part. But also, you got somebody in your family is attorney or something? Your father or whatever.
Somebody,
Yeah, because all this paperwork and all that. All players don't do that type of stuff. All players don't remember what they did and how they did it. Like, yo, you had your turn. You didn't get the mic back.
We looking more like, we be looking more like referees than we are ball players. None of us can run, but we still call it foul.
Now, to the game itself. Starting team, golly. Myself, Clyde, Rudy.
Cook.
No, this was our junior year. Cook didn't come along until our senior year.
Chris Tisdale.
Chris Tisdale.
Yeah, Tisdale.
And somebody else was missing too, though.
Vaughn.
No, it wasn't Gina.
Yeah, it was Gina.
No, Gina didn't start. No. It might have been Carter, though. Might have been Carter. But anyway, we did as a man. I'm not going to time things up. Started five with us, but it's a team game. Regardless who started five with them. But going down the stretch and all of that, he had a lot of it right about those long jumpers I shot on. And also, it was the worst game of Clyde's probably career. I never seen Clyde have a worse game than that one. But we being a team, Big Clyde didn't sweat nobody. We didn't care who it was. Because somewhere down, one of the two of us gonna pick that team up and carry it. And what we did in DC really put us on the map coming back to Richmond. We swept through DC and everything they had up there. You know, John Thompson, he was getting Georgetown back on the map at that time. But Lester Drizel, he came to a lot of our games up there. And our games up there was full of college coaches. And every team we had up there, we swept through, I think, but one. And that was before we played Dunbar, DC. That was our senior year. But the junior year, I don't think nobody beat us up there. You know, we swept through 10 games up there during that stretch. That's why I was looking at the low numbers he had coming into that game. That must have been the district record he's talking about. Because the overall record, I know we didn't lose nothing up in DC. But anyway, to get to the game itself, Keith was a phenomenal ball player. And I can remember when I first met Keith, I was in the 8th grade. And a lot of guys were talking about this little guy that can jump and dunk and all this. And I'm like, you got to show me. You know, and we met up at Thompson Street Gym. And there was very few people I ever seen that could out-jump me. Other than maybe Keith and Gerald, they're the only two I can probably think of. But to go back to this game thing, we met Keith. Keith was in the 9th grade. Got a breakaway, dunked the ball, and we like, okay, time out, game over. We went through the city the rest of that evening, playing everybody we could find in Churchill, Northside, or wherever. So we always knew if we could control Keith, we could win this game. But Dave Robbins, we had to respect Dave, because Dave always had a card up under his belt or something that we didn't know about. But anyway, they still got way in front of us at one point. But we didn't sweat. Clyde was having a bad game, so what? But then the ball started coming my way. And those jumpers started falling all of a sudden. Carter hit a few jump shots. Now we really rolled. Because everybody looked at Carter as a football player. But Carter was just as good a basketball player as he was a football player. People didn't know that. As big as he was very nimble. We used to call him the dancing bear. You know, but nobody knew how good he was because we played at the boys club all the time. And a lot of people up in here, we got to know each other before we even got to high school.
Yeah.
From those boys club days, the North Side Y and all of that. And Summer League as well. But that game was special. And it really did mean a lot. But when you playing that type of game, for me, I don't know what the crowd looked like or anything else. But when I'm out there playing, I start running, that sweat would come off. I couldn't even hear the crowd. All I know is where the ball at, who I'm defending, and what we got to do to win this game. That's what my head is as a player when I'm playing the game, and that is against everybody. It don't matter who the opponent is. And at Walker, they taught us, you kill an ant with a sledgehammer. And you better believe we tried to kill TJ with a sledgehammer. But they were so slippery. You know, Arnold and them were so disciplined. They knew how to draw us out on defense and to try to wear us down on defense. But they knew we got to lead, like he said, we're going to run and gun and stomp you right on out the gym. But Dave, I got to give him a lot of credit to, and the type of ball players he had on that team, they were very good at what they did, and we were very good at how we played. And it was going to come down to who was going to determine the tempo of this game. And I have to say that most of the game, they controlled it. They did control it, they deserved to win it. But we know one thing, we were not going to make it easy for them. If you're going to win it, you're going to earn it. One way or another, we're going to make a run for this thing. And keep making that over the head, backward shot over Rudy. Oh my God. That was the backbreaker right there. You know, all our heads kind of sunk out. We lost our momentum. But we still thought we had a way to win the game, and Keith started going to the free throw line, like he said, made those free throws, and they won the game. But we made them pay the second game though.
We ain't ready to go to the second game yet. Hold on. All right, so just one quick thing before we get to the second game. I spoke to Coach Dave Robbins earlier in the week. 83 years old.
Fix the mic, fix the mic.
Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I spoke to Coach Dave Robbins earlier this week. At 83 years old, just as sharp and memory as great about these players and those games as could be. He did not want, as Arnold said, he did not want to play the game at Coliseum. He wanted to play the game in Matchbox and open up the auditorium. When did this one's for both of you? Keep this one short because I want to get to the second game. When did you, Arnold, and JD, realize that this was going to be something big and something special? Were you in the Coliseum before you realized it, or did you know going into the game that this is probably going to be something special?
During the JV game at the Coliseum, we were sitting in the stands with the junior varsity game, and we were there, and we could hear echoes and no one's game while we were sitting in the game at the first half. We went into the locker room at halftime after the teams came out, we went in and got dressed. Came out of the locker room to warm up before our game, and I was absolutely shook because I looked up and the place was packed, and I had never seen that many people in the Coliseum other than Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm telling you, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Parliament, Funkadelic, TJ Maguire. And for the first time, I realized this is going to be special when we came out of the locker.
Same question to you.
Again, I have to reiterate, the crowd I don't pay much attention to, so I couldn't really say, but when the game started and looked around at that point and saw the standing room only, that's when I knew that this game was going to be special. But I also knew, even before we got to this game, because of our record and because of the rivalry between the two of us, it's always special between Maggie Walker and TJ. So I didn't expect nothing different from that game.
Okay, so
So,
3 weeks later,
about 3 weeks later, on February 13, 1975, both teams do it again. And they do it at the same place. And they have the same outcome. So, almost the same outcome because the result of the game is a little different. So I'm gonna start with JD on this one, because he can gloat a little bit about the outcome, right? So JD, talk to us a little bit about the second game, which you remember, and then we'll have Arnold give us his update. I don't think that might work.
The biggest difference between the first game and the second game was Clyde. Clyde showed up. The Clyde we know came to play and to make up for what he didn't do the first game. When I saw that, and I think when everybody else on our team saw that, we knew we were ready.
With that statement of such brevity, I'm sure you all know how this game turned out. Right? So let me have Arnold. Let me have Arnold give a little more color to that.
Am I the only one here that thinks JD still feels a little way about that first game? Even to this day. What I will say is, I agree that Clyde played better in the second game, but I think the difference in the second game and the first game was that Maggie Walker was able to impose its will more so than they were in the first game. In the first game, TJ sat in a tight 2-3 zone, and although Clyde had 23 points, he may have shot 30% from the floor. Whereas in the second game, he was making more, his shooting percentage was better, and Maggie Walker was able to get out and run more, which resulted, he scored the first game 60-54, he scored the second game 72-70, 2 points. So, Maggie Walker was able to impose its will more so in the second game than in the first game.
Okay, great. And so this is really interesting because if you take a look at the players that came through the Capital District, there's been some fantastic players, but you have to put Clyde and Keith in the list of the GOATs. There's no way that you can get away from that. So we've got two people who played with them, and I just like to just comment just briefly on what it was like being in the backcourt with both of those phenomenal players. I'll start with you.
Clyde was probably best guard I probably played it with him against. But the best thing in playing with him, Clyde attracted a lot of attention from college coaches. Clyde went to those summer camps, 5-star golf people camp, and when those coaches came to see Clyde, who else did they see? Me, along with the rest of the team. So that was really the biggest benefit of playing with Clyde. But I want to say something about Dave Robbins right now. Because Dave went out of his way for me and went to North Carolina and had their coaching staff come up here to recruit me. That's the type of coach he was, the type of respect that he showed me he had for my game. To go do that for his opposing opponents, killer. That says a lot about a man that has a lot of character and somebody who really loves the game. And only one ball player beat me off from going to North Carolina. A guy by the name of Dave Colescott. He missed basketball 3 years in Indiana. And that's who they was working. And when he got there, I never saw him get off the bench. But that was who beat me out to go there. And Clyde even asked me to go there and see State with him as well. And Dr. Giselle also won. So I had a lot of different choices. And it even include Brown and Howard because of my academics. I wasn't just a good basketball player, I was also a better scholar. People just didn't know it.
That's fantastic. Arnold, you played Keith.
In my opinion, Keith was
One of the most talented, gifted, special basketball players that I've ever witnessed. And I was fortunate to have the opportunity to play alongside him. Some of the things that I've seen, I saw him do in practice, were absolutely unbelievable. Some of the things I saw him do on the playground were unbelievable. And he didn't exhibit all of the things, all of his skills and all of his talent because of the style of ball play that David Robinson has played. And Keith was an exceptionally gifted, talented ball player, and his mental approach to the game was even more special. And I'll give you just one instance of how special he was. In that first game at TJ ended up, although we imposed our will from a defensive standpoint, TJ had 30 turnovers in that game. 30. And at one point when the game got close near the end of the fourth quarter, there was a timeout that was called, and both teams went to their respective benches and walked to get TJ the hips. And before Dave Robbins could say anything at all to us on the bench, Keith came over and kicked a chair and essentially cursed the 5 starters and 4 starters out, and told us to stop turning the ball over. He didn't say it like that, but he said stop turning the ball over. And he wasn't looking at me. Vince, is Vince still here? He was not looking at me, but I say that to say, after Keith said that and how he said it, Dave Robbins said, okay, that's about it. That's all we got to say. Let's get back out there. And so Keith was a special, gifted, talented ball player, but his mental approach to the game was even more special.
Great. This is a real treat here. This is a gem. We're looking at history. We're looking at fantastic history here. I was a few years behind these guys, and I remember that they were household names as I was growing up. I was not at either of these games, but as I was working to put these photos and articles together, I had an opportunity to go into the archives and read, and I go, wow, that I remember that. And the only time that I can remember that the Coliseum was sold out was for maybe Ali Frazier and then TJ Maggie Walker. So, I think, this is just a wonderful story. I could not let these gentlemen come here and not tell the story because it's history that I'm sure everyone in this room has learned something about those games that they did not know. So, if everybody would bear with me with 1 second, is Peter Strayhorn back there? bear with me. Ron Strayhorn. Just bear with me, folks. And Peter, can you round up all of, can you guys round up all of our shirts and everybody helping us? Can you round up all of our shirts and everybody, everybody who's been helping us, all of our shirts? Everybody working with the organizing team, can y'all please come forward? Paul Pressey, is Paul Pressey out there? Paul Pressey still here?
He is.
Somebody grab Paul Pressey.
He's coming.
Irvin Carter, come on up. Paul is with you. Bring Liz up and Bobby. Liz and Bobby. Pam Rose, Sylvia Jiggins. Come on up. Sherry Stevens, Lord, come on up.
But I don't like the way the
Johnny Jackson, Gary Flowers. So I'm gonna call some people out as we go through this, and I hope I get everybody, don't miss anybody. We wanna thank everybody for coming out. We go tonight until 6. The weather pushed us inside, but it hasn't changed the energy, the electricity of what we wanted to do. We were really excited about bringing us together and being able to celebrate this, and we've been able to do that. But my brothers and I thought about this idea close to 10 years ago, and you know, we worked on it. The pandemic came and stopped us from getting it done, and then we were able to do it and pull it together this year, and we were able to get a lot of great folk in the room, and the magic has happened. So we're really happy about that. But you know, you saw some things that said the Strayhorn Brothers. It's really the Strayhorn Brothers team that really allowed this to happen. So this doesn't happen, obviously, without my brothers, Ron and Pete Strayhorn, and my brother Frank, looking down from above. We have 2 incredible cousins that have worked on this thing tirelessly, and that's Rita Warden and Stocktina Bolden, our attorney, basketball player, Capital District player from John Marshall, Melody Penny Forrester. Many of y'all probably know Penny, so Penny worked with us on this. Michael Williams, are you in the house?
No, he left.
Okay. Michael Williams, another person, helped us with our banking, made that happen. Brian Robertson, you in the house? Okay, maybe you had to leave. Did all the marketing, got us the interviews, did all those wonderful things to make this happen. Glennis Singleton Crosby. Oh, again, just a great resource for us. Keith Bagby, Harry McGee. This next name, these next names are just incredible for what they have given to this effort. Paul Pressey, his wife Liz Pressey, and his brother Bob Pressey have given hours of time, treasure, support to make this happen. So please give it up for the Pressey. They are here from Texas, nothing but unbelievable partners in making this happen. All of these T-shirts that we have on and that you guys have been purchasing, Bob Cressy is the one who kind of came up with this logo and design and kind of printed those up and made that work. So thank you so much for everything that you've done with this effort.